Some names only show up for a little while. They stay hidden in the shadows of old memories. They are small names in a big book. Melchizedek is one of those names. He appears in just a few short lines in the Bible, a brief, lonely figure who comes onto the scene and then quickly disappears. Yet, even though he's only mentioned briefly, many readers over thousands of years have found him powerful, mysterious, and deeply important. He is both a king and a priest, a rare and strong combination in the world of scriptures. We first meet Melchizedek in the 14th chapter of Genesis. The story is clear and to the point. The scene happens right after a big battle. Abram, who would later be known as Abraham, has just come back from a brave military mission to save his nephew, Lot, who had been taken captive by a group of 4 powerful Eastern kings. Abram, leading a small group from his own household, defeated them and got Lot back and got all the people back and got back the things that had been taken. As Abram returns victorious, he is met by 2 kings. The first is the king of Sodom. The second, appearing without any introduction or explanation, is Melchizedek. The text introduces him with a calm authority that really stands out against the chaos of the war that just happened. The scripture says, "And Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought out bread and wine." This simple act is full of meaning. It's an offering of refreshment, a gesture of peace and kindness for the tired warrior. Unlike the king of Sodom, who comes to haggle over the spoils of war, Melchizedek comes offering sustenance. The bread and wine are basic symbols of life and nourishment, a sharp contrast to the death and destruction of the battlefield. This act of providing is the first hint of his character. He's a figure of restoration and peace. He asks nothing from Abram, but instead gives freely. His presence serves to elevate the moment from a simple military victory to a sacred encounter. After this offering, the text continues. He was the priest of God Most High, and he blessed Abram, saying, "Blessed be Abram by God Most High, creator of heaven and earth, and praised be God Most High, who delivered your enemies into your hand." Here, his double role becomes clear. He's not just a king, he's a priest. And as a priest, he calls down a divine blessing. He credits Abram's victory, not to Abram's own strength, but to God Most High, El Elyon. Then Abram gave him 1/10 of everything. The names given to Melchizedek aren't random. They're like clues to understanding how important he was. His very name, Melchizedek, Malkitzedek in Hebrew, is a mix of 2 words, Melech, which means king, and Zedek, which means justice. So, his own name can be translated as "My King is Justice" or King of Justice. This immediately shows him not just as a ruler, but as someone whose rule is based on a moral or divine quality. Also, he's called the King of Salem. The word Salem is very closely related to the Hebrew word shalom, which means peace, wholeness, or completeness. Many old and modern traditions have said that Salem was an old name for Jerusalem. If this is true, then Melchizedek was an ancient priest-king of the very city that would later become the sacred center of Israelite worship and of the kings from David's family. The rabbis of the Talmud and Midrash couldn't help but dig into the mysterious figure of Melchizedek. His brief appearance was a gap that their tradition of interpretation wanted to fill. One important rabbinic tradition says that Melchizedek was Shem, Noah's oldest son. This shows up in texts like the Babylonian Talmud, Nedarim 32b, and the Midrash Rabbah. This explained why Abram would honor him with a tithe. He was showing respect to a very important ancestor. Some Midrashim say that when Melchizedek blessed Abram before blessing God, God passed the priesthood to Abram's descendants. Karaite Judaism gives us a different and valuable way to look at figures like Melchizedek. For Karaites, Melchizedek is exactly what the text says he is, a king of Salem, a priest of the Most High God. By not wanting to fill in the blanks, Karaite thought leaves him as the Bible presents him, a righteous priest-king, not from Abraham's family, who appears and disappears. The story of Melchizedek doesn't end in Genesis. His name echoes in Psalm 110 verse 4. This royal psalm, traditionally said to be by David, is for a king called My Lord. The Lord has sworn and will not change his mind. You are a priest forever in the order of Melchizedek. This single line makes him the example of a never-ending priesthood. Among the Dead Sea Scrolls from Qumran is 11Q13, the Melchizedek scroll. In this broken text, Melchizedek is seen again as a special heavenly being, an archangel-like figure who will show up at the end of time, a figure of judgment and salvation. He is said to carry out God's judgment on Belial and to bring forgiveness and freedom for the good people. The idea of Melchizedek gets its biggest religious growth in the New Testament, especially in the letter to the Hebrews. Melchizedek is said to have no father or mother, no family line. Like the Son of God, he stays a priest forever. If Abram listened to Melchizedek's authority, then Melchizedek's priesthood must be better than the Levitical priesthood. The bread and wine he offered are seen by many Christian thinkers as a hint of the Eucharist. For early Christians, Melchizedek became the key scripture clue, an eternal high priest who offered a single, perfect sacrifice. He becomes a link between kingship and priesthood, between the Old Agreement and the New. This use of a small character from Genesis shows the amazing power of how Melchizedek's short story has been understood in different religions. To really understand Melchizedek, we need to look at the bigger world of the ancient Near East, around the Middle Bronze Age. This was a time when small but mighty city-states were dotted all over the Levant. It was a time of shifting alliances, local leaders, and frequent wars. Exactly like the fight described in Genesis chapter 14. The idea of one person being both a king and a priest wasn't strange either. The king was often seen as the head priest for the gods of his land. The name of the god he served, El Elyon, has connections in the ancient Near East. El was a common Semitic word for a top god. The writer of Genesis uses this name to show that Melchizedek, even though he wasn't an Israelite, worshipped the one true God, the same creator that Abram served. Even with all this historical possibility, we don't have any direct proof outside the Bible that Melchizedek really existed. His story only lives within the Bible. Its power comes from the part he plays in the overall tale. Why Melchizedek matters. A legacy of questions. Melchizedek is still important because he's not easily understood. He's a figure who stands at a crossroads of history and belief, of kingship and priesthood, of Jew and non-Jew. His brief appearance in Genesis is a powerful reminder that our religious boxes are often much simpler than what's real. For the rabbis, he became Shem. For Qumran, a heavenly archangel. For Christians, the perfect example of Christ's royal and eternal priesthood. Each tradition saw in him a reflection of their own beliefs. He's like a mirror. What you see depends on who's looking. He appears, offers bread and wine, gives a blessing, and then disappears, leaving behind a legacy much bigger than his short role in the story. He's a small name with a long shadow. That shadow continues to fall across our path. So, what's the biggest source of Melchizedek's lasting power? The historical man or the eternal symbol?